Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Page of Swords podcast. This is episode 37, and I'm here with IFBB Figure Pro, Pia. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, absolutely. First of all, I just want to say I have been following you since you won the Clash, and that was in 2020. So let's just start off with your show history, because that was, early COVID times. Let me think here.
Yeah. Right after, once the show started back after that lockdown.
Okay, so you started competing in 2018 from what I see on the website, correct? Okay.
Yeah. I started in Jackson, Mississippi. I did a couple local shows, I think 3 in total, which went pretty well.
Yeah, you won first in all 3.
Yeah, I won all of them. But, when it's national shows, you don't really know because that's all you see. So you think you're doing awesome. And then on national stage, it didn't go bad. But I did the Arnold. I think it was my first national show in Ohio, 2019. Yep. I placed 4th, which I was very happy with because it was, it's a big show and it was people from literally all over the world. So I was really happy. And like 6 months later in September 2019, I did North Americans and I placed 3rd, which I was also happy with. But these were the shows that I was doing just to get used to it being on stage. I wasn't really pretending to get my pro card then because I knew I was way too small, way not balanced enough. And 2020, I told myself that it really was going to be my last national show to try for the pro card because, I was 35 then, I'm 36 now. So like I'm getting old and I have other things besides bodybuilding in life. As much as I love bodybuilding, I was not going to spend my life trying for a pro card. So I had just made the decision that it was going to be my year. And I won my division and the overall in masters, I think, in NPC Universe. So I got 2 pro cards and I'm very proud of it.
That is super awesome. Since you said it was going to be your last year and then you ended up with 2, I mean, that's like, awesome.
It was really, I was very proud of that.
Yeah. And like Universe is a great national show too. Like I really like North Americans. I've never done it, but I've went because it's here in Pittsburgh. I live in Pittsburgh. Where do you live actually? Where are you located?
I live in Jackson, Mississippi, but I'm North African. I moved to Jackson in 2017 for all the wrong reasons. At first, I was married to the wrong person, but it ended up being a blessing because that's how I started competing.
Well, we'll get there after the show part of it. But so North Americans is in Pittsburgh, and I know it's a great national show. And 3rd place is definitely awesome, I would say. I know that North Americans is always a huge lineup of girls.
Yeah.
Very awesome. And like you've got a great resume of shows here that I see. Like the Arnold, I've always wanted to hit that stage. I mean, I can't even imagine how awesome that was. Like, how was the experience?
It was amazing. And then you see, we were doing the NPC, the amateur part, but at the same time, we had the pros going. So it was Sydney Gillen and all the big figure girls. And I went and watched the shows at night. And it was just like, I'm having goosebumps right now, remembering the day I saw Sydney on stage posing, because it's different when you see her on videos. And I was looking at her, I was like, I'm going to see you on stage one day, which I probably won't because, but it was an amazing experience. And it was so, they run it so well. Although I prefer North Americans when it comes to how it was run, the text messages to let you know that it was going to be your turn. It was the venue, the tanning, everything was in the same spot. I was crazy for picking those as my first national shows. I think it was very ambitious, but it turned out to be a good decision because it just kept building my confidence to, prepare me for what was coming next. And it worked.
I love that you say that because I'm that kind of person too. Like, I know deep down that some of the shows that I like want to do are big, but I like the challenge. And it sounds like that you're like that it's like, I might be a little uncomfortable. It might be a challenge, but I'm going to do it.
Just go ahead and do it. Yeah.
How did you like the Clash? Because honestly, like I said, that was the show that I started following you. And when I saw that, like, because I know I messaged you because I ended up doing the clash for figure, and I was like, man, I want to do the show, and you won it. And yeah, like, how did you like the clash?
I loved it, first of all, because of the location. Mm-hmm. It's Florida, it's sunny. Mm-hmm. I obviously loved it because I won my height class, I won masters, I won the overall in masters, so of course I loved it. Mm-hmm. I love the fact that unlike a lot of other shows, you actually, it's not just a trophy you get, and it may not matter, but when I won that, I also won a free suit for my national show. Yeah. They paid for, the whole suit. I got a suit that was worth close to $2,000 for my pro debut. They also pay for your registration for your national show. So it is, so far, I think it was my favorite show to do, local show to do, because of what they offer for the athletes. And it was very well run too. It was amazing.
Yeah, I know that that was like right after COVID and everything too, but that is like awesome. Did they give you a tiara too with that show?
Yeah.
I really wanted that tiara.
It couldn't sit on my hair because of the afro. It was terrible, and then it got stuck there. And that tiara, there's a little girl here in Mississippi whose mom I train. I'm a personal trainer here. Mm-hmm. And that little girl is just a fan of me. I think she is 3 or 4 years old, and she just loves me. I don't know why, but she loves the muscles. She keeps pretending to flex into, and I gave her that tiara, and it was, I think I gave it to her for Christmas, and because I wasn't gonna wear that.
That's so thoughtful. Oh my gosh, like it's so cute. Like I don't know, like not many people would do that. They want to keep all their memories and stuff.
I got my head. It's fine.
Yeah, you got the trophies and the card and everything, I'm sure. Yeah, mm-hmm. That's a really sweet story, though. I'm glad that you were able to share that. That's super cute. And then, how did it feel to turn pro at Universe?
As happy as I was, I'm not going to tell you, I'm not going to lie, and I don't want to sound cocky, but I was not surprised because that's what I had been training for. I really wanted. And as soon as I went backstage, we don't want to compare ourselves to other athletes when we're training, but you can also be objective with yourself when you know that you've trained. And when I went backstage and saw the other athletes, I was like, I got this.
Yeah. Then that's good. I love confidence. I'm all about it. So I love that you can say that too, because there's nothing wrong with that, and I'm sure that energy that you had showed on stage with the judges and everything too.
I think it did. Yeah. And it's the whole thing with the presentation. Physically, I was very well taken care of. I think I had been cheap before and didn't go all the way getting my makeup done and my hair done and everything. I really took care of everything this time and focused on something that a lot of beginners don't focus on, which is posing. Before, in the first show, maybe I started practicing posing like 3 weeks before because, I can dance. So I was like, I got it. It's just a little bit of moving. But it's not what it is about. It's really about opening the right way, switching the right way, transitioning the right way. So I really put a lot of effort into posing that last show, and I think it really showed. It did.
Did you hire anybody to help you with that?
My coach back then had given me a few sessions, but honestly, no. I did it more watching other athletes, the main athletes. I didn't want to copy them, but I did get inspired by 2 or 3 of them. I didn't want to copy completely because not everybody's posing is good for everybody. But yeah, I took some pointers from several athletes and try to apply it to my own body and my own physique.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I know that you said that you were watching Sydney at the Arnold and stuff, and she's a great poser, so I'm sure even she was one of your inspiration.
Of course, I did whole cardio sessions, watching her videos, just back to back to back, studying it, going back, going forward. Yeah, of course, she was one of them.
I've done that. Yeah, and you know what, the thing about Sydney and, studying her posing, were you like me too, where you were looking at the little details, like where her foot would go and yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely. Slow it down and take screenshots, different screenshots, like a few seconds apart and see how she turns, definitely, when she smiles, when she does that little pouty she does, yeah, everything, every detail.
I love that. That's so exciting. I love posing, so it's really nice to kind of talk about that. And I think that a lot of competitors will benefit from that, to hear that, because I don't think they think about the screenshots and going on YouTube and finding, there's, you can look up anybody and probably find some
Yeah.
posing.
I think that even posing with trying other people's divisions posing helps because it makes you comfortable with your body. Mm-hmm. I have a friend who does women's physique, so when she's posing, I try and imitate hers, or even my boyfriend does men's physique. So jokingly, I'll pose and do what he does. I have friends who do classic physique. So the more you pose, the more you're comfortable with your body doing what other people do, the easier your own division seems to you. I think just to become fluent in making the different body parts pop out and transition correctly.
I love that. That's so great. I definitely agree with you 100%. And just like you were talking about, having the confidence and the posing, and then together, and then you win your pro card. And I definitely agree, for sure.
Yeah.
And
one thing.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
One thing it does too, when you are confident with your posing, you know that shaking that you get on stage in the beginning, that's absolutely uncontrollable. The first shows, where you don't know what's happening to you, but every single muscle in your body starts shaking and you cannot hold a pose. That comes from not being confident, from not being prepared. Of course, the stress and not being used to having all those eyes pointed at you, but posing over and over and over again. And I like to do it in the middle of my gyms with people looking at me to get used to people staring at you. That eliminated every ounce of shaking on Clash. I did not shake at all. And I did not shake after that at NPC Universe or at my pro debut at all, because I was posing often. So I got used to it.
That's great. I agree. Practice makes perfect. And, when you're in the gym, us bodybuilders, you just got to get used to working out and posing even at the same time or in between sets and reps.
Yeah.
Definitely. And really quickly too, I've just from like looking at some of your competition photos here, it seems like your go-to color for suit is red. Do you always do red suits? Okay.
The first time I picked, the first time I got it was red. The very first time I competed, it had some red in it. And I'm not superstitious per se, but maybe a little bit. So it was just my color after that. Every time I got a suit, it had to have red in it mainly. Yeah. I don't think I'll change that.
I like that. Hey, if it works for you, like, why change it, right?
Yeah, and the judges often give good feedback. When they judge your presentation, all of them say that it goes well with my skin tone. So yeah, I'm keeping the red.
Yeah, I like it. Especially, I like that you're consistent with your hair too. You rock that style for sure. I love it. It probably inspires a lot of other girls with that type of hair.
Yeah, two things is people remember you when you have a different hairstyle, because everybody usually goes with straight hair. Not many people have an afro. And another thing is to maybe inspire some brown Black girls to keep their natural hair on stage, or do braids or dreadlocks. Or I've had a coach who told me that it was a bad idea to do it, that I have to have straight hair because the coaches would be biased, and absolutely not. That is not true. I think if your hair is nice, even if it's not, it's hair that grows out of your hair, out of your head. So yeah, I just wanted to rock it natural to make a point.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you. I think there's some myths out there with competing like that, where you don't have to. Like, I remember when I first started too, when I heard that, they wanted long, straight hair, and it was like, now I see that it don't matter. Even like the whole thing about blonde, like I was always like trying to dye my hair brunette just because I heard that judges prefer darker hair.
Yeah.
And then my show, I did blonde and I did well. So I was like, okay, it really don't matter.
It does not. I see girls with their head shaved now, and it's just as.
Yeah. I went to a show yesterday, and there was a girl that was, she was, I don't want to say bald, but just buzz cut, and she rocked it. She won her class, and she looked great. I love it. It was beautiful.
And I think it's one less thing to worry about when you're posing, to get your hair out the way. You just turn around.
Absolutely. Yeah. So yeah, definitely love your look. I'm glad that the judges have always gave you good feedback then too. So when you won your pro card at Universe, do you remember what your feedback was? Did you ask, like, what do I need to do before the pro level?
I remember my feedback was that my upper back had to get thicker because naturally I have the muscles on the sides of my spine, they develop very easily without me doing anything. And it makes my upper back look thinner. So it was one of my feedbacks. And to get my shoulders to grow more because I have pretty wide lats. So the shoulders have to, to pop out a little bit more. And I'm also quad dominant. So I had to work. I actually had a compliment where they told me that my quad looked amazing. But what I heard is that it means that my quads are standing out compared to my hamstrings. And that's what I heard. So that's what I've been focusing on during this off season, my whole back part. The upper back to get more thickness, to get more size in my quads, try to develop the tie-ins more, make the glutes pop out with the insertions with the hamstrings, and of course, shoulders.
I feel like any division, I say that. More shoulders, every division.
Yeah.
Can you go wrong?
It's never enough. Yep.
Yeah. So what kind of things have you been doing for your hamstring development, like in your off season?
I go heavy now, and I do not, I love to work quads. And it's very easy to just do what you like and say, okay, next time I'm going to do hamstrings. And then next time comes and you end up doing a little bit of hamstrings and mainly quads or glutes or what you like to do. Now I make it a priority to do a whole session of just hamstrings. I'm finally getting to the point where I'm leaving my quads alone. It is hard not to go and hit some quad extensions, but I'm getting there. I may hit them literally maybe twice a month, once a month, like a series session. But I mostly go heavy on leg curls. I do more deadlifts now because it's good for my back and for my hamstrings. I didn't do deadlifts a lot under another coach because he had this theory where your waist gets thicker.
I've heard that one.
Yeah, some people say that, others say other things. And when you look at some very big athletes who still do deadlifts and have small waists, I was like, let me just go ahead and do it. And so far, my waist has not gotten any bigger. So, but my back have. So I'm gonna keep doing heavy deadlifts until it feels funny. We'll see.
Yeah, I would feel like at the end of prep, if you're, I'm sure like those would be pretty exhausting at the end of prep. But yeah, it does sound like if it's working and doing what you want it to, the benefits of it, then yeah, keep doing it and just keep doing it. That is awesome. I love talking training too. Like, and I know that you said that you're a trainer, so that's awesome to hear some techniques and everything also. So yeah, you're like the opposite of me. Like, I feel like my front pose, like anything on the front needs improvement. My back's pretty good, but yeah, you've got a great wide back. You are like the figure shape. So absolutely love that.
Thank you.
Okay. I was trying to think where to go next because like, we haven't really talked how you got into competing. So when you because you kind of mentioned earlier that like you had moved here and everything. So go ahead and go into that story.
So the passion for lifting in general started very early.
Okay.
My father was a fan of all the classic bodybuilders back in the day. He didn't compete himself. He just lifted weights, but he was a doctor and didn't have time to think about anything crazy. So I think that he transferred all his passions onto me. I'm the oldest, so he got me playing the piano, he got me reading a lot of books, and he got me lifting weights. I remember that the first time I lifted weights, I must have been about 11 years old. He was lifting at home, and he showed me some exercises, and I loved that feeling. I remember we did some side raises, and that burn that you get in your shoulder, I just loved it. And the next day I was sore. I was like, this really feels good. Of course, he didn't let me, I was too young and he didn't want to compromise my growth. But that's when I started thinking about it as being something that I really wanted to do. But being from North Africa, women don't do bodybuilding. Women are not supposed to have muscles. They're supposed to be thick and they're supposed to do girly things. And I was blessed to be born in a family that was really open and really understanding and not at all conservative. So they basically taught me that I could do whatever I wanted to do, but they didn't know anything about how to actually get into bodybuilding. And there was no way to get into it anyway, because there were no shows in North Africa. Mm-hmm. So I just kept lifting. I started lifting seriously when I was about 15 years old. I was on a track team. It was in the 90s, early 2000. We didn't do much lifting. You know, we did amateur sprinting. We would just run fast, do legs a couple times a week, but we didn't really have a split workouts for lifting. So I try to learn stuff with my dad and by myself. And for 10 years, I just kept lifting, hoping that one day, I don't know, somehow I would end up competing. I had no clue what the divisions were. I just knew that when I saw a woman with muscles, I wanted to be like that. And I knew that my father would have liked me to do it. Mm-hmm. Then in 2008, he passed. And my world just, I mean, I stopped going to the gym. I stopped playing the piano. I didn't work out for about close to 2 years. I gained a lot of weight. I got up to close to 190 pounds. I had eating disorders. I had a couple bad addictions to not so good things. It was a terrible 2 years. And I remember that one time I saw a friend of mine post a picture of himself on Facebook, and I was in the background eating with all the cheeks and all the fat everywhere, and that was it. The next day I went back to the gym, and again, so this was in 2010. Again, I was like, okay, one day I'm going to do a show, and I'm going to do it for Dad. In the beginning, it was supposed to be just one show for my dad, for his memory. And again, I didn't know where to compete, because in 2010, I was still back home, but I knew I had to keep lifting. And I just kept lifting weights. I got better at it. My legs got bigger. Everything else got bigger. And 2014, I got married to the wrong guy that I met back home. He was from here, from Jackson, Mississippi. Okay. We moved here in 2017, and an abusive relationship started. He was fine when we were back home, and as soon as we moved here, he started being physically abusive. I took it for about a year. While I was in the marriage, of course, I was working out, and then I knew more about how to get into bodybuilding. And it's literally when I did my first show and won, and saw how, because you know, when you're in an abusive relationship, you lose every confidence in yourself. It's literally like your spirit is completely broken. He kept telling me that I wasn't, can I cuss?
Oh yeah, go ahead. Yeah, okay.
He kept telling me that I wasn't shit, that nobody would want me. He would tell me that I looked like a man, that I looked disgusting. So when you win a show, my very first show, I won the overall title. And I saw the reaction of people and how people actually respected me. You know, like, God, I did something, and people are proud of me, and people are impressed, and people want to take pictures of me. And he was there. He went there because when you're an abuser like that, you don't want people to know. So you have this facade with people where you're super supportive, where you're here to see your wife. So nobody knew. So he wanted to be there for people to think that he was supporting me. But I saw him in a corner looking like, why are these people adoring her? Like, this is not. That day, I started building myself back up. And it's literally bodybuilding and winning shows that gave me the confidence to say, okay, I've had enough. I don't have to take this shit anymore. And I started saving up and get ready to either leave him or put him out. I ended up having to put him out after one last violent episode where I literally could have died. And it was it. After that, we never got back together. And I think then I had done my first national show. And yeah, I had done the Arnold. So he couldn't tell me shit after that. If you placed fourth at the Arnold, you can't talk to me. Don't talk to me. It was over after that. Bodybuilding saved my life, literally.
Seriously, it's like I feel, you know, awful about your father passing and your abusive relationship that it ended up like that. But like, what an inspiring story. Like, wow, that is just.
I'm, of course, going through the abuse is terrible. And I wouldn't do it again, obviously. I wouldn't go through that again. Yeah. But it was really the best mistake I ever made, because in 4 years, I learned everything I needed to learn about what I didn't want in a relationship.
Oh, yeah.
The red flags in a relationship, how I had to behave, and how to set the boundaries I had to set with people to make sure that that never, ever happens again. I mean, thanks to that, thanks to moving here, I'm now competing. I'm now a personal trainer, which is the career I always wanted. Because, you know, originally I'm a pharmacist. I have nothing to do with that's what I graduated in. And I always knew that I wanted to do that for a living, but it wasn't possible back home, because you can't be a trainer full time back home and make a decent living. So I went for the money, being a pharmacist, but I knew that one day I would want to be a trainer, and I quit everything when I came here to be a trainer. So it was a blessing, although it had all the negative things about it. I'm happy it happened. I'm gonna say it like that.
Well, I'm happy to hear that, because honestly, like you just said, like, it sounds like you built your confidence and everything. It's just very empowering. And I think everybody who goes through traumatic experiences like that, when they fight through and get through it, like, they're unstoppable. And that's what it sounds like for your story, you know?
Definitely.
And being a pharmacist, like, that's a great job to have. So it's like kind of nice that you always have that to fall back on, maybe. But now that you're actually doing what you really, really wanted to do, like, that's awesome. I'm really happy that you're able to be a trainer and everything here now.
Yep. Yeah, I think it also prepared me to be a trainer, because, you know, when you have a background like that, you know a lot of things about the body that you would never learn if you just did a personal training certification. And it makes the personal training certification way easier, because you're supposed to learn about all the muscles, all the biology, the physiology of the body. So yeah, I think everything I did before I got to now was without me knowing, just preparing me. I'm one of those people that believe that nothing happens for no reason. So I think every career I had before was preparing me for what I'm doing now.
I definitely look at, you know, growing up too, and it is like that. I think we just keep learning from experiences and just how we age and everything. And you have to kind of like look at things more positively. And it sounds like that you've done that, you know, keep growing and keep going. And, you know, and it's just, you know, I've heard so many terrible relationship stories, I feel like, and it just sounds like, I'm just happy at the end of the day, like, you ended up getting to do what you wanted to do, and you had a strong support system, not by like the relationship, but like you said, going to shows and people liked seeing you. And I'm sure like the positivity is what won, correct?
Definitely. Yeah. And it's still like that today. I mean, when you go through things like that, you end up enjoying the very little thing, the slightest joys in life. You enjoy them, the slightest wins. You learn to be happy for people, no matter what you go through, because being happy for people makes you happy, even if you're not there. And it inspires you when you see someone getting something before you do. It makes you just want to get there and be happy for them and try to, you know, copy them and be as good as they are. So yeah, the more shit you go through, the happier you are when things are doing well, because you can value them.
Yeah, and in bodybuilding, it's just always an ongoing project. Like, we're always wanting more, and it just keeps you going. And if you're positive and just take it day by day, I think, you know, it takes time. You have to be patient. Sometimes it's hard. A lot of the times it's hard. But then you get there, especially stage. Like, when you get to the stage day and get all glammed up and you look really good, like, it's a great day.
Yeah, it is amazing. I have an opinion on that.
Okay.
I'll share it on the glam and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, I think it's wonderful if, you know, women want to get all the makeup and all the, I just feel that it shouldn't be mandatory to have all the glitter on your suit, to have to have makeup on, have to do your hair, have to wear jewelry. Just because if you compare what a show costs for us women and you see what it costs for men, it is just so unfair. I understand that you would want to do it, but it should be something that doesn't count. I don't think that you should be how do you say, noted on those things.
Yes,
because
marked down and stuff. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we are there to show a body.
Mm-hmm.
We're not there to show her nails or makeup or hair or anything. I believe that if I wanted to go on stage with a bun, no makeup, and just, a suit, a regular suit, a $40 suit that has the standard, the mandatory shape and the,
like
what you call
and stuff.
that.
Yeah.
Without glitter, without all the glitter, it should be, that's my opinion. Now, most girls like to be dolled up anyway, so it's not a very popular opinion, but I'm not really okay with that. It's not fair.
And it does get really picky sometimes, especially when competitors start asking questions. Like, it's like, does it really matter? When I would rather be wanting to ask someone like you about like training and stuff, but when they're like, what size earrings or something, it's like, whatever. Like, why does it matter?
I get the heels because it gives you a certain shape.
Yeah.
I do not get, what does it change if my nails are done? What does it change if my makeup or my hair is done? And it is unfair. I find it sexist.
Yes. Oh, and like you said, your boyfriend's in physique too. Like you said physique, right?
Yeah, physique.
Okay. Yeah, and like are the board shorts a little more money? I actually don't even know that question. Or do you know?
Are they what?
Are they more money, board shorts? Because I know, like, I think the classic shorts, the littler ones, are kind of like $30 maybe, or $50.
I think dark sport, which is one of the most expensive ones, it's like $50.
Oh yeah, see, yeah, okay, men. It sounds like it's always 50, and I'm like, 50? We pay like 700 or more. Like you said, your suit was $2,000.
700 is an okay suit.
Yeah, exactly.
But most over $1,000, $1,500. They go. I've seen suits for $4,000. Now it's your problem if you want to get a suit that expensive, but it's just something that I feel like that the fact that it's mandatory that women get all dolled up sexualizes them a little bit, which we get sexualized anyway, even having muscles, or maybe even more because we have muscles. So I really find it sexist that it is mandatory to have to do all that.
Yeah, because, if you look at competitors, you're not going to see one without earrings and stuff unless they forgot or something. But, you don't, that's like something that I don't think any girl actually tries, because I guess you're just too scared to like not try it because everybody else is, and you're just kind of trying to fit in because you want to win, right?
Yep. That's why I've been doing it. I wanted my pro card, so I wasn't going to go on stage with nothing on. Obviously.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. And you said before that you put a little bit more into it when you won your pro card, correct? Didn't you say that you did a little more with your makeup and stuff?
Yeah, because I saw the pictures before, and you can tell I don't like makeup anyway. So even for the stage, I think I had done my lashes and put on some foundation, and that was it. But it's a stage, it's a different kind of flight. So I realized that, your bone structure has to be, the makeup has to be done a certain way. So I just put a little bit more into it. And I mean, come on, I just could afford it that time, and I couldn't afford it the times before. That's it. Financially.
And I understand competing is so expensive. Like, I don't know if you got any questions on that, but I mean, sure, I feel like I see that pop up. People are like, is bodybuilding really expensive? And it's like, yeah, like you got to travel.
I got a question. It was before. It wasn't for this, but a girl asked me, wanted to compete. She's from Mississippi, and she asked me, do amateurs get any money competing? No, not at all. They do not get anything. They spend a lot of money during their prep. Then they spend money to travel to the show if it's not in their own city, plane ticket or whatever means of transportation. Then you have to pay for your hotel. You have to pay for your NPC card, your registration, your suit, makeup, hair, tan. You lose, you invest, let's say, a lot of every time you do a show. Then she asked me, do you make money as a pro? Again, it depends. You have to place very well. And still, if you look at most shows, you're going to make $3,000, $2,000, $500 sometimes. And that's only if you're top, I think, 3 or 4 or 5. Except if you do bigger shows, like the Arnold, where I think the first in figure gets something like $15,000 or $16,000, something like that. But it is not a career that you get into if you want it to be your main source of income. That is not. You should always have a plan B, unless you're incredibly good and you already know it and you're going to do the Olympia and make all that money and have all those sponsors. But it is not the kind of career to get into if that's where you want to make money. It's a passion type of career, not a money type of career.
Yeah, and it's definitely like, if people ask me that question, I'm like, if you're in this for the money, that's not good, because like you said too, like you have to be like top 3 at a pro show. And again, kind of like you were talking about things being kind of sexist. I mean, there was a show yesterday or whatever, and men's bodybuilding won $10,000, but then like the women won like $3,000 first place. I was like, $3,000? What? That paid for like your air travel?
Yeah. At big shows, at some big shows, I think like the Arnold figure still make more than men's physique, so that's a little win.
Mm-hmm. Oh, and then they don't even have figure at the Arnold this year for the pros. I mean, I get it's like a
they don't.
No, because they're just doing fitness, bikini, men's bodybuilding, and classic.
Oh.
Yeah, because I guess with COVID they couldn't have all the divisions and they just kept it small. Oh. There's no amateur show this year for the Arnold.
Wow.
They cut. I don't think it's a COVID thing, but yeah, I'm like, oh, figure didn't get in. Oh, what? So
God, yeah, not important.
Yeah, I don't even understand, but yeah, the whole money thing, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like hidden under the rug half the time. Like, I mean, I understand that the federation's going to be like any business and they just want money, especially after COVID. I know prices have increased like crazy for tickets and NPC card prices. Like it's even more expensive now. Even trainer.
It is for all athletes, male or female. When you see, I mean, the shows make money with all the sponsors, with all the tickets they sell, with all the, and who takes that money? You know, athletes are the people that are making the shows. They are who other people pay to see. So it is unfair when you place third and you've worked a whole year and you make $500. It's sad.
Yeah, absolutely. It just baffles me a little bit, just the fact that it's like how much we put in with the suits and the makeup and blah, blah, blah for us girls. And like to get it checked with 500 or whatever, like that is just very like not even a quarter of what we spend throughout the year and everything. So like you said, this is just all an investment.
Yeah, that's just your plane ticket.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Well, you know, before I forget too, I wanted to talk about your pro debut because you were at the Pittsburgh. So if we can talk about that, because that's pretty important going to your first pro show. How, like, why did you pick the Pittsburgh and how did it feel?
So again, I picked Pittsburgh because it was a big show and because I'm ambitious and I wanted to do my pro show at a big show. But I was not really, I was pushed by my coach to decide for a show, and it had to be around that period, around that time.
Okay.
I don't know why, but I let him kind of convince me to do a show. He told me that I was going to be ready, so I really did it just to do it. My coach had been, I'm not working with him anymore. I left about 3 months ago. Right now, I don't have a coach. I'm focused on other things. But he was amazing. He is an amazing coach. He's great. He really knows his thing. But about maybe 6 weeks before the show, I started seeing some sort of neglect on his part where I felt like, you know, when you're competing, when you're 6 weeks out, you know what you're supposed to look like because you compare it to other shows that you've done before and because you know your body, you know how much time you need to lean out, you know how much time you need to get conditioned. And I wasn't seeing it all the way to 3 weeks maybe before the show. And I kept telling him that, but I'm one of those athletes that believe that if you get a coach, you listen to them. That's what you pay them for. So if they tell you that you're going to be fine and that you're doing well, it's probably because it is true. Because why would he tell me that I'm ready if I'm not? So I decided to listen to him. And up until the night before the show, I was still not looking like I was going to be ready. But I decided that I had spent all that money, done all that. So, you know, let me just go ahead and do it. I placed last. There weren't that many figure girls there were 12 or.
Yeah, it wasn't. I was there. I have pictures of you. I was there. I was cheering, but
many people, but I placed last. But it was one of the shows where I had the most fun because, and when I went backstage, unlike Clash, when I went, or NPC Universe, when I went there, I was like, oh yeah, we don't get it this time. It's just, it's not going to happen. So when you already know the outcome, you just go in there, and I just decided to have fun with it. I was already there. So I just went and had fun. Literally, when I was posing, the judges did not even look at me because I hadn't been able to pull my water. So much stress, so much, I was bloated. There was a bad carb up that we did. It was too much. I just didn't look like I wanted to look. And it's a lesson. When you have done a few shows, you know your body and you know how it responds to certain things. So when something doesn't feel right, it probably isn't. Mm-hmm. Because you have a coach doesn't mean that they know everything. They may be very good at what they're doing, but you also know your body, especially if you've done several shows. So if it doesn't feel right, it's just not. Do something else or give it some time. Or I don't regret doing that show, and I wasn't hoping to place or anything, but I wasn't planning on, being last, absolutely last. Yeah. But I think it also taught me when that happened that I can actually take a loss pretty well. I'm not a sore loser. Because I had never lost in bodybuilding. I had never placed less than fourth. So you would think maybe if I don't make first call outs, I would have thought I would have not taken it well at all. But I realized that I had pretty tough skin, and it wasn't a hard pill to swallow at all. I actually loved that show. Really had fun, and my hair was nice.
Yeah, right. And like you said, I'm looking at your picture, and I understand. I can see that conditioning was probably feedback. I mean, you still look good because I got to see you in person. So actually, you look really good in person. I know anybody will look better in person when you're actually at the show. And you had the confidence, you had the sass, great posing. So there was that. You got posing experience out of it. And I mean, it's a big show. The Pittsburgh, is a baby for the NPC. Like they love, like the NPC is from Pittsburgh. So Jim Mannion really puts a lot of effort into the Pittsburgh. And that was probably the first pro show of the year for figure, maybe?
One of the first, if not the first, No, there was a couple before that. But it was one of the first ones of the year, of the season. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I was there, and it was great. It was a good show, definitely. So I'm glad that you ended up having a positive experience and everything of that sort. I'm sure being backstage was a different experience that might have been more fun too, right? As a pro?
Oh, definitely. And I knew a lot of the athletes that were in the backstage, so it always helps. I thought I was nervous, but absolutely not. And I think that the fact that I was absolutely certain of the outcome is really what made me, because when you know that you're going to be in first call outs, you're stressed out because you want to place first, second, third. But when you know that you're not going to be in first call outs, you're not stressed out. I just enjoyed it. And then I went to eat afterwards. That's it.
Yeah. Less pressure. Yeah. Where did you go to eat in Pittsburgh?
I think I ordered, it was COVID. So I don't really go now. I really try to avoid, because I wasn't vaccinated. So I had already gotten my dose of people and no social distancing backstage. So I didn't want to do too much. I just ordered a pizza. I'm a pizza lover.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's awesome. Always have to throw in a little bit of food talk. Bodybuilders have to talk about food.
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
So I'm excited to hear that. Now, I guess quickly we can kind of talk about what your future plans are then. You're in your off season, you said?
In my off season, I do not really know when I am competing again. I know I am competing again, that's for sure. Mm-hmm. I know that I will not do just any show. It's going to be, I don't want to do a show just to do a show. Honestly, I want to do shows, start early in a season next year or year after next.
Okay.
to qualify for the Olympia. That is my goal. It's not just to step on stage and because I really think that I have the potential, the shape, the size, the conditioning, the posing to qualify for the Olympia if I put in the work and if I'm 100% focused. But I'm not 100% focused right now because I have personal things going on. I'm buying a house soon, hopefully. And I've decided to take the time to support my boyfriend who's going for his pro card soon, you know, focus on that because it's a lot of money. So I'd rather one of us spends money at a time and then so that we can evolve in our personal plans and at the same time competing so we don't lose focus of what's important. But yeah, I'm not competing anytime soon. Just working on my shoulders, working on my hamstrings, trying not to get fat, which is the advice I could give to a beginner is try not to get fat during the off season. It is normal to get fluffy. It is normal to just barely have an outline of your abs, but it is not good to get fat because for us who try that lean look, it can be depressing for some people to lose it. Then you get fluffy, you feel guilty, you eat again, you get even fatter. It starts being hard to go to the gym because you don't want to wear a certain type of clothes. And it is a cycle and it can go far. I know athletes who stop working out for a whole year because after a show, they get fluffy and it keeps going and it messes up your metabolism. And so, yeah, that's what I'm trying to do now. I'm trying to enjoy life without going too crazy and not get fat, just fluffy.
Yeah, I'm sure that is because even that's where I'm going to be because that's on my mind too. So I think that's just an ongoing learning experience, just like anything else. So if it sounds like you're pretty positive of things right now with how that's going. Yes. Yeah. And then I guess you're going to be looking for a new coach eventually too, or do you think you'll end up coaching yourself?
I have, no. I won't coach myself. No,
some people do.
Definitely not. I like to be told what to, I like to have someone for accountability. And because I did a couple shows doesn't mean I can coach. You know, that's another thing that absolutely not. I'm a trainer. I'm not a coach. I have my eye on a couple of trainers. One is local and he actually coached me before, my last coach. And I had left him because he didn't have experience on bigger stage settings. But he actually worked pretty well for me, for my body. And he's one of the people I'm considering. And there's another one that I'm looking at. I like to, especially, you know, when you go through bad experiences, you want to take your time to make decisions. And that's another question I had gotten from someone in my DM about what criteria do you use to pick a coach? Very important to watch them work on both a professional level and personal level. You want to be with someone that, of course, knows how to do their job, someone that coaches a lot of people from your division, because some coaches can be excellent with wellness and not good with figure. They can be very good with men, but absolutely suck with women. So you need to what they're doing, what kind of athletes they're working with the most, and see what their results are like. Are they winning? Are they placing? Are they the style on the personal level? What kind of person are they? Do you see yourself dealing with them? I personally, because of past experiences, watch for drama and negativity in coaches. If you are someone that just posts, you know, your athletes and positive things, I'll be happy with that. If you are someone that mixes things up and gets in personal things in there and criticizes what judges say or talk about other coaches or talk about other athletes, I'm going to run away. I'm going to unfollow you and not look at, it's just, I just do not see myself associating with anybody that has negativity in them and that doesn't just stay focused on bodybuilding, not on all that, you know, extra distraction.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad that you say that because, I mean, I can think of so many bad coaches. I think everybody, especially beginners, I feel like we always end up with one bad experience with a coach that makes us learn. And then it ends up like you, where you're like, I'm going to research the hell out of these people before I give them my money, where I put my health in their hands. And and just like you said, mental, like you don't want negativity. So like, you got to like protect your mental health also, because that's a factor in the bodybuilding and your look for the stage too. So
yeah, definitely. And the fact that the coach themselves knows that it's a factor in you doing well at your shows. When I was talking about not getting fat after a show, one of the reasons I managed my weight so badly in the beginning was because my coach didn't acknowledge the fact that I was human, that I was a female, that my body after a show wanted desperately to get back to a healthy body fat percentage. It was literally something that I could not control. It was like an instinct. I had to go eat. And nobody had told me about water retention after a show. Because bodybuilders don't really talk about that. You know, you always see abs and everybody is happy, but during the off season or after a show, water retention is a bitch. The first time I gained, I'm not lying, a lot of people don't believe me, I gained 28 pounds in 3 days, and I did not lose them for about 6 weeks. I just kept getting bigger. Then, of course, after that, it was fat. It wasn't just water weight. But the first 2-3 days, my ankles had gotten so swollen that they were literally spilling over my shoes. My feet had grown one size. I had to get new shoes because my feet wouldn't fit in my shoes. My hands were swollen. My stomach, I literally looked 3 months pregnant. I'm going to post. So when people see this, okay, I'm going to post on my Instagram. I had posted it before, but I'm going to post an interval. I think it was 5-day difference where you can see my belly 5 days after having completely flat stomach and 8-pack, 5 days after, because I had a few meals, how I had gotten. And it was not the worst, because before that I did not even take pictures because I was thinking I need to go to the hospital because it was just terrible. But I had water retention all the way up to my eyelids. My whole face was swollen. Yeah. And since nobody told me about it, I felt guilty. So I just covered up. And I kept eating for about 6 weeks and just getting bigger. It took me 4 or 5 shows to figure it out. And now I don't binge eat like how I did before. But it is very important to talk about it to beginners because it can mess up their whole plans on competing after that if you don't pay attention, if you're not careful with it.
Yeah, post-show is a very sensitive time, and I understand that everybody's excited to eat and celebrate, and that's fine and dandy, because I remember you reached out to me and said exactly that, like, watch, and I'm like, I appreciate you actually, like, being an example and being like, listen, I'm looking out for you, like, do not. And I'm thinking, like, and like you said, like, you didn't have a coach that was able to help. I will say that mine right now is absolutely wonderful, and she has me set up for success, but it wasn't always like that with a previous coach. So like, it's very important because, you know, we want to celebrate and eat, you know, us women, you know, anybody really. So it's true because food does a lot on the body and you're pretty much shocking it.
Yeah. And your mental health too, your coach should know and should understand that he has to ask you how you're doing. It doesn't mean that babysitting you. When I see my boyfriend's new coach now, asking him, how do you feel? Are you pooping? Are you doing well? Do you have energy? Are you not depressed? It is important. Before, with our other coach, he was amazing in a lot of things. I don't want to say that he was 100% bad. Absolutely not. It's just that there are some things that he didn't get. And he was of those that thought, suck it up. If you feel bad, I don't care. I don't want to hear about it. You're going to die for this shit. You're going to do this shit. And that's not how it works. I'm not dying for no bodybuilding. No. I am not. Absolutely not. I'm going to do it as long as it's fun. If it stops being fun, I'm going to stop. And I need somebody that understands that. And everybody, when you get a coach, you need to literally ask them, what do you care about mental health in your athletes? Is it something that you're sensitive to? Is it something that you're aware of? Most coaches, good coaches, will tell you, yeah, of course. Of course, I know that you'll have days where you're not doing good. You'll have days where you're going to have to be pushed a little bit more, and they have to understand that. Bodybuilding is a mental sport.
It really is, and I think if you want to simplify it, we're just not robots. And I'm sorry, like, you know what I mean? Like, we're not computer. I know technology is very advanced now, but us as humans, like, you know, we've got emotions and everything. Life happens, you know, and like you said, you just need a coach who's realistic and can have a conversation and, you know, just understand all of these things. And like you said, you really need to follow coaches and, you know, even ask their competitors. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And for a while online, and ask, very important, ask the athletes who left the teams for the reason why they left. And don't ask just one of them. Ask many, ask those from your division, and ask others. Like if you're a female, ask other females. We see a lot of this happening now where coaches use their position as coaches to abuse females, to sexually get favors from them. It is something that is more common than you would think. So when you see a lot of females leaving a team, you need to ask yourself, why are they leaving? Go ask. If anybody wants to ask me why I left, I never had any problems of that kind with my coach, but I know some things, and I'm, you know, I do not filter anything, and I'm going to tell you what's happening and what made me leave. Because I'm the kind of person, if I see some shit going on, even if it has nothing to do with me, I cannot stay there. I've left jobs for the boss being a scumbag without having any other options of income, but I will resign from a job where I feel that other people are being taken advantage of. So I will definitely, if anybody asks me my opinion, I will tell them about a couple other coaches that I've had too. I may not, you know, voluntarily go and say, hey, don't go with that coach, because I don't do that. But I've done it for teammates that I knew deserved better, and it worked for them because they left and they're doing way better now.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, I'm not going to say names of any sort, but I know of 3 girls who also left the same coach. So, you know, that says something.
I think you meant 23.
Oh, there's 23 that are left. See,
a lot, a couple dozens.
I'm sure, because me personally, I know of 3, and like even that's a dead giveaway that there's something there that is not positive. So how did you leave? Like how was that conversation with you when you wanted to split ways with your coach?
So because of the nature of the person, and because I knew that there would be some bashing online if I said the reason why I was leaving, I just said, I had some stuff come up. I have some things to do. So can you stop drafting me? Because I got to focus on that. Obviously, afterwards, he found out the real reason, because I had reached out to some athletes to warn them. And he found out about it. And I didn't care, because I told him, you can show him what I said, because I want you guys to know that what I'm saying, I'm not just saying it. I can actually back it up. So if he hears about what I'm accusing him of, I do not care about it, because I know that I'm telling the truth. But yeah, we didn't have a conversation. I don't think he's adult enough to accept that, hey, you didn't work out for me and you're doing some things that I'm not okay with. So I got to leave, which was very different from my coach that I had just before him. I just went in and told him, look, I'm going to leave because I'd rather go with another one, because they have more experience on a national stage. And we're still friends to this day. And I may be going back with him soon, because I don't like to burn bridges with people that are good, you know? But I do not mind burning bridges with people who...
It shows a lot with character also. Just if they're going to react that way. And like you said, it was like, they didn't even want to like face the truth almost. And just immature.
He's in complete denial. Like a lot of people who, these people that abuse others, they always in denial. And it's not my fault. Everybody's doing stuff to me. Nobody loves me. I'm alone here, and would go on live sessions and name athletes and bash athletes. So I just stopped following the stories and the live, so that my peace. Some people try to tell me that he had talked about me, but I didn't. I don't want to hear that. I don't care.
No, you just block it. Like you said, like we said, positivity will always go higher if you just only focus on the positive things, because I've done the same thing. When there's haters, You just think about your supporters. You think about the positive things in your life, and then you succeed. Just hold on to your confidence and, you know, everything, your dignity. So I'm happy that you've been able to move forward from all of that. And like you said, you are not the only female who's told me. And just looking at coaches in our industry, it's a lot of male coaches. So what you're seeing, like you said, it's been happening a lot, and it's very common for, you know, things to be hard for girls with their coaches, because a lot of them are men, you know.
But I mean, this is happening everywhere, and I think that thanks to the Me Too movement, now a lot of women are speaking up finally. But it is something that you see everywhere. Look at the New York governor. I know that in politics that happens a lot. I know that in schools that happens a lot. All industry, men with high positions of power will use their power to do things, and women are going to be afraid for a lot of reasons, most times, to say anything, mostly because they are afraid of not being believed and of the consequences that is going to have on them, because they've seen it happen before. When someone speaks up, they get discarded. But if there's more and more females that talk about it, like it happened with some other coaches, people will believe them. When there's a big number of people saying the same thing, of course they're going to believe you.
Oh yeah. When one speaks up, it will trickle down, and all the other ones will follow, because like you said, the Me Too and just women empowerment, you know, that I don't think you see a lot of females that will leave somebody hanging anymore. Like girls, I feel like we really come together when it's needed. So that's really good to hear, you know. And I've heard that with when it people just don't know how to leave coaches. Sometimes they're like scared, like most females,
you know,
like,
people don't realize. People don't realize, or athletes don't realize, that you are basically your coach's boss. You hire them, you pay them.
Yeah.
It's not the other way around. A lot of people think that he tells me what to do, so that means that, you know, I owe him. You're paying him. You are his boss.
Yes.
If you like his job, you fire him. You do not owe him a whole conversation if you don't want to. You can just stop paying him and leave if you see anything that you don't like. For beginners, females, your coach is not supposed to get pictures of you other than you posing in a posing suit.
Right.
He cannot ask you for different angles than the mandatory things that you have. He cannot ask you to travel to his city to do anything, not even to train. That's on you. If you want to go, you can go. He cannot tell you that he cannot coach you if you're not there in person. There's people that are coached online all their life and do amazingly well. You don't have to be with them. Once you meet them, he can do body work on you if he's not certified to do body work, because I see this a lot. To do body work on people, to do deep tissue massage, to do Graston on people, you have to have diplomas and certifications that say that you can do it. A coach cannot just touch you. A coach is not supposed to call you baby or honey or boo. It doesn't matter if it's your coach. You're not going to be like, oh, you know, it's my coach, so I thought maybe it was. No, it is not. You're an athlete. He's a coach. It is a relationship that I pay you. You tell me how I look. You tell me how I eat. You tell me if I'm doing good or not, and we agree on a show date. You tell me, preferably in the beginning, before you even sign up, ask for how long does it take before you send me a plan after I send you my check-ins. What does the coaching include exactly? Are you going to be at the shows? Are you going to be responding to when are you going to respond to my text? Because it is good to have, for example, every Friday. I don't like coaches who tell you, hit me up whenever you want. That's not good.
No.
Because that they're not, if they say this to everybody, they're not going to be available for you. I like my coach to tell me anything that you have to tell me, email it to me on Friday. And I'll answer in 24, 48 hours. It's not okay to have somebody's personal number and be able to text them anytime, because that opens the door to boundaries, being completely screwed. And that opens the door to abuse. So keep it professional, keep things, you know, everything written. You are entitled to ask for what service you're going to get before you pay for it. And if you're not satisfied, just like any other provider, you leave and you stop paying.
Right. Exactly. Like it's organized. It's a business. Like they need to treat it like a business and be professional, like you said.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I've had you on way longer than I thought I would, because you are awesome to talk to. Was there, I don't know if you got more time or anything, was there any more questions or anything?
I had a question about drugs, supplements.
Okay.
In the
If you
industry.
got time, we can do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be really quick about that.
Sure.
For drugs, that's another thing that you have to look for when you're trying to hire a coach.
Yes.
Some coaches use drugs too much. As an athlete, you're not supposed to know everything, of course, but as a female, do your research before you get on anything, on any kind of supplement. I mean, we know it's an industry where supplements and drugs are used anyway, but do your research, and because most things are irreversible when you stop taking them. If your voice has gotten deep, it's going to stay deep. If your has gotten big, sometimes it's going to stay big. So do your research before you get on all those cycles. And yes, drugs are used in bodybuilding. They're used more at a higher level. They don't necessarily have to be used in NPC or so. Don't let a coach tell you when you're 10 months out that you're supposed to use drugs. If you cannot build muscle far from a show, eating chicken and rice, just don't compete.
Diet and cardio over everything first. Yeah. I said diet and cardio over everything first. And then, the supplements are to be added in as extra when needed. So yes, you are correct.
You still got to do the job. And I think for divisions like figure, bikini, even wellness, you don't need drugs when you're 10 months out. For what? Right. If your wellness, if you cannot build big legs naturally, then you probably just don't need to be wellness. Go do bikini.
Right. Yeah. Check your training, make sure you're eating, don't undereat. A lot of people undereat. Yeah. And, like you said, for bikini, I mean, even when I think about it, like I've heard people take a lot for bikini, which is like absurd, but I'm like, what? I feel like a fat burner is all you need, or like an anti-estrogen. Stop.
Yeah.
And then it's like, get your blood work, find it. See, that's another thing about coaching. Find a coach that actually cares about the blood work stuff too. So,
I'm going to move here because my battery is dying. But blood work is another thing that my coach hadn't asked me for. The last one I had, he didn't ask me for in the beginning. And I did find that weird. But I still went ahead and did it. But if your coach doesn't ask you for blood work before you even start with them, it's a bad sign.
Yes, I totally agree. So the drug stuff, and I'm glad that you're kind of open about it. I'm sure if anybody has questions that maybe they can reach out to you, and I'm sure you're very open, and I appreciate that because I'm the same way. I just want people to be happy and healthy, and I want good coaches, and I want everyone to stay like, if you just want knowledge on the drugs, because like you said, it's there, then people like us are there.
Out there, Google, see the side effects. You can see the name of the drug and what it is used for, because a lot of drugs that are used in bodybuilding were initially used for other things, for breast cancer, for other things, and they are used in bodybuilding at a different dose to actually take advantage of the side effects that they have and are used in bodybuilding for that. So the side effects, you can just Google the name of the drug, add bodybuilding there, and it will give you the use for bodybuilding with the side effects, especially for females. And when you read that, some things are absolutely awful. And I remember seeing Shanique Grant, Miss Physique, she was very open about her use of drugs, but she was also very open with the problems that she had with it. And she's been natural now for a while and enjoying it. And a lot of people give up on bodybuilding because of how they're forced to use all those drugs, or sometimes it is not necessary to go that far. And if you really need all that stuff to look good, maybe choose another career. Just do something else, because eventually you're going to look good for 10 years, maybe on stage, but you're going to die earlier than everybody else, literally die.
Yeah, and we're not, like you said earlier, you're not dying for bodybuilding, so don't push it.
Absolutely not. No, I'm not even, I'm hurting a little bit during the sessions and starving when I get closer to a show. That's all the pain I will take for bodybuilding.
Oh, absolutely. And it's like, that's temporary, and you're not going to die. Like, you feel like it, but you're not going to die.
Absolutely.
still get to eat, you know, and yeah, like you said, it's just, let's just be happy and healthy and positive, and bodybuilding is supposed to be fun.
It is.
All right. Well, I know your phone's dying, and I mean, this has been such a fantastic conversation.
Right.
I've had such a good time talking to you. Your story is amazing. I can't wait to share this. I'm gonna upload it as soon as we're done, and you can share it. It's YouTube, Spotify, and iTunes. And if everybody wants to follow you, it is Pia _from_the_ motherland, or you can just type in IFBB Pro Pia. So yes, is there anything else that people can find you, or anything you want to share?
No, I forgot to say congratulations. I said that to you in person, but congratulations on your pro card, because I had been following you too, and you know, you stood up in my timeline. I was not surprised at all when you got it. I just knew you would get it. Congratulations.
I just wanted top 5. It was my first national show. I was like you. I just went in with no pressure. I wanted to have fun, and I posed my ass off because I love the pose, like you said. And I'm just blown away.
I knew that you were going to get it. I knew it.
That is so nice. I really hope that maybe someday we end up at a pro show together. I really do.
Oh yeah. Oh, definitely. I plan on, as soon as I get back competing, I'm going to do as many shows as I can that season to get qualified for the Olympia. So I'm sure we're going to meet somewhere. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Or I'll meet you at some show that you go watch, or because I'll be traveling with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
So I may meet you. I'll let you know. I'll keep you updated.
If you're in Pittsburgh, let me know, because I know Pittsburgh, we got great shows, and we got Figure here for Pittsburgh Pro, North Americans. I come out, and I'm actually going to be starting to tan at those shows. So I will be around. And seriously, I cannot wait to meet you, of course. And I actually have pictures from the Pittsburgh. I don't know if I ever sent you. I might just send you those just so you have them. But
please send them.
But yes, thank you so much for the congratulations.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being on here. You are beautiful, and I'm just ecstatic. So, all right. Thank you so much, and have a great night. All right.
You too. I will. I'll talk to you soon.
See you, Pia.
Bye.